Okay, so we are at the ArcLight in Hollywood, and we're here for a High School Musical, the series panel, and we're very excited.
We're so excited.
We are obsessed with High School Musical, the series, and if you're not, then what are you doing with your life?
You should be.
Yep. Free drink and refreshment. Wait, that's the same thing. Free drink and popcorn. Yeah.
Creator and executive producer. Oh my goodness. Very young woman. I'm so excited to be here tonight and share this with the GLAAD crowd. I'm gay. Spoiler alert. Wow, nothing. And we wanted to show you guys these two episodes. This is High School Musical, the series. And when I pitched the show to Disney about 1.5 years ago, I pitched it as The Office meets Glee. Hopefully you will see some of those elements up there tonight. Really wanted to find a group of true teenagers on that screen, sort of cast to play their real ages. And that authenticity was something really important to us as we searched for this cast. Speaking of authenticity, when I was growing up in the 90s in Pittsburgh, I think my only gay role models were on Will and Grace. And that was great, and I was glad for them. But most of the stories I saw about the LGBTQ experience were sort of tragic and heartbreaking and really sad. And one of the things we wanted to do with the High School Musical reboot was to weave all sorts of identities into the show in a way that didn't feel like a bold topic, but rather a reality of modern life. At the end of episode 4, the character Nini plays and sings a song on her bed. That was written by the girl who you'll see up there. Her name is Olivia Rodrigo. She wrote it in 3 days. It is a real song that came from her heart. I'm so proud of her. She's singing it live. And in the second episode, episode 5, there's a big dance number that was inspired by the actor Frankie Rodriguez, who plays Carlos, and the audition he gave for the show in which he sang a Whitney Houston song.
We have Tim Federle, who is the creator and executive producer. We have with us tonight Frankie Rodriguez, who plays Carlos. We have Julia Lester, who plays Ashlyn. Michelle No, who plays Dana. And Nicole Sullivan, who plays Carol. Every day my being, everything I do at GLAAD is all about representation, right? Because we know it's really important to see yourself in media. Because when you don't see yourself in media, you feel invisible, and the message that you get is that you don't matter. So I'm going to start with Tim first and say, Tim, please tell us a little bit about what it meant to you to create characters who are LGBTQ, like Carlos and like Dana and Carol. Dana and Carol, then at the end, play lesbian moms.
Yes.
Of Nini. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, everything I make is, whether it's writing a book or this series, it's like, what's the thing I wish I'd seen when I was a kid? And, you know, I grew up with this kind of Steven Spielberg childhood where those were the movies I wanted to escape into, but I never really saw myself on screen. And so I think the short answer to that is just trying to make something that I can give to an actor like Frankie to play, and that I can feel confident that he'll look at it and say, like, this isn't fake, or this isn't pandering, or it's not sort of dumbing down the feeling of what it's like to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, ask somebody to the dance, but also to sort of own who you are, which actors like Frankie, you know, really do.
This project has been like amazing to be a part of because it's so genuine in its characterizations. I mean, there have been for sure roles that I've passed up auditions for because the Asian or Asian American character is so stereotypical or so tragic, and it's sort of like so beaten. The number of times that I've even had the opportunity to audition for a member of like the main family in a series, I can count on one hand. And certainly in an interracial family.
But in terms of growing up feeling like I saw myself on screen, it didn't really happen.
No.
Yeah.
Never, huh? How about you?
The first thing I can think of would probably be Will and Grace. Me and my mom every Thursday at 8 would sit down and watch it.
Yeah. How about you, Jake?
I mean, I think just in terms of like a theater kid, honestly, High School Musical was probably the first time that my sisters and I had really like experienced kids like being interested in singing and dancing and having it portrayed on screen. So even just in that sense, I think that was like probably one of the first times that I'd ever been like, oh, yo, I can do that. Yeah, I think probably that.
Honestly, like it's still tough for me. Like with Asian American actresses, the representation is still, we have a long way to go. Honestly, like just even a mom in an interracial family, she happens to be Asian American, she's doing the best she can, to be a mom that's and then because I see the lack of representation, then I started to write projects and stuff like that because I realized there's a need for the voice. But I did, like, as a college student or something, the first time I saw Joy Luck Club, it was just literally the first time, and I didn't love the movie, if I'm honest, and all of those women are very tragic, but I just wept. Even though I didn't love the movie, I wept the whole time because it was the first time I saw faces covering a screen that looked like me, and I just wept the whole time.
There's been chubby white bitches. I saw me everywhere.
One of my favorite memories from, like, I guess backstage, I would make the cast do music videos. So I would say, we're doing the Cheetah Girls, and so wherever you need to plant yourself throughout the set, do it. And Joshua, who plays Ricky, was our camera guy, and he does an amazing job. So we have all these music videos of us just acting a fool.
Every single crew person said, seriously, come here for a second. These kids are so talented. You're not gonna believe it. Like, and they were like dumbfounded by how brilliant these kids are. And I'm telling you, I heard it easily 30 different times of like the person driving the van back from the airport, like, you know that these kids are talented. Holy hell! Like, they're just, everyone was so blown away by them and their talent. It was beautiful.
Our casting director is Julie Ashton, and she sort of turned over every rock to find them. You know, we really wanted to find, a couple of our kids were from Disney Channel shows and have big followings, but for some of them it really feels like we kind of discovered them, despite like a couple of TV credits, and the journey of standing at the monitor and watching a scene like when Joe walks in and sees Frankie dancing, that just like gave me chills, because it's the type of scene that when I was in high school, like would have made my life 25% happier. And so watching such talented actors sort of take it and just bring it to life is a thrill every day.
For LGBTQ folks who are watching the show, and or Latinx folks, or Asian folks, people who don't always see themselves represented, what would you like them to feel when they see this?
I hope they feel seen and represented. Especially this past Friday, getting the flood of messages, I thought, I was like, there's gonna be so many kids reaching out, but it's actually so many adults reaching out saying, you don't understand, if I would have seen this when I was a kid, my life would have been changed. And so, I don't know, I think just to feel that moment, to feel seen.
I think my greatest hope is that the audiences will take away from it, like they will look at our family on screen and go, that's 100% normal. That that they don't think twice about it. And then if that's not their first reaction, then my hope would be that they see our family on screen and go, what a great family. What effective parenting. What a loving couple. That would be the next thought if their first thought wasn't normal.
And I would also say, every time we in this room think we're like there, like the story, we don't have to tell these stories anymore, we're good, because maybe that's the community we've created, whether because we're adults or we grew up somewhere liberal. You look at the comments under like the Huffington Post tweet about the show the other day and about Frankie, because you realize there really is this great big world that doesn't have that reaction that Michelle just talked about. And so, my hope is that people watch it, to exactly what Michelle said, watch it and go, oh, they're actually more like me than I realized, and for the audience at home who identifies as these characters, that you can be Latinx and be on screen, and that doesn't have to be the story of the episode. It can just be. I think that's the type of story we're trying to tell, and luckily we have at least one more season to tell it.
Oh, here's wishing you many more seasons. I want to thank you very much for bringing your talent. I want to thank Disney for doing this, and And thank you all for bringing your talent and your love
Thank
to
you.
this show. You can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it. So thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Monica.
much.
That was so fun. They screened the 4th and 5th episode of the show, which are already on Disney Plus, and I'd already seen. But it was cool to see them in a theater with my friends, and that panel was great. I loved hearing what they had to say. And really, and honestly, if you haven't watched High School Musical, the series, and you have Disney Plus, or if you are thinking about watching it and getting Disney Plus for it, I would highly recommend. It's actually very entertaining as an adult who is not in high school anymore, and it really does, like everything they were saying about representation and just showing LGBT and interracial relationships and different body types, different ethnicities. Everything that they were saying on the panel is completely true. And I think it's a great show, and I think it's doing great things, and I think it's a step in the right direction for Disney and like Disney Channel type shows. So yeah, I highly recommend the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video of the panel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!